Welcome back, Trailblazers. My name is Zinthia, and today's video is in regards to one of the updates coming in Honkai Star Rail version 3.2. It was announced that we get to choose between two characters to have for free, Luocha or Ruan Mei. These are both limited time characters, so getting one of them without needing to spend Stellar Jades is honestly great. However, if you're newer to the game or you're just not sure what either of these characters do, don't worry, because I'll explain all that right here. This video will explain both of these characters' kits, which teams and characters they work with best, and why you may or may not want them. Now, if you already have both of these characters and you're coming to complain that I don't discuss Eidolons, that's not really the point of the video, so sorry. I might briefly mention what their Eidolons do if it seems necessary, but the focus here is going to be what each character does and why that may be useful for the teams you already use. If you're having trouble deciding who to pick, that's what this video is for. So, new and returning viewers alike, let's lock in and discuss Luocha first.
I'm a traveling merchant, merely passing through. The name's Luocha.
Released all the way in version 1.1, Luocha is a member of the Man's Club, aka the Imaginary Element. He was one of the first healers in the game, and as a 5-star character who follows the path of abundance, his whole kit revolves around healing his party members to keep them alive. Let's talk about his kit. Luocha's skill can select one ally to heal. This healing is based on Luocha's attack. Additionally, when a party member's HP falls to 50% or below, Luocha will automatically use his skill on them. This automatic version triggers every 2 turns. In other words, if he heals a party member this way, he has to wait for 2 of his turns to pass before he can trigger it again. Just trying to emphasize that the 2-turn cooldown is based on Luocha's own turns and not whoever he healed. Luocha's ultimate costs 100 energy, and it will deal imaginary damage to all enemies. It will also remove 1 buff from each enemy. However, I've noticed that this sometimes doesn't apply to certain bosses like in Simulated Universe or whatever, so just wanted to say that. When Luocha uses his skill and or ultimate, he gains 1 stack of Abyss Flower, and this leads us into what his passive talent does. Once Luocha gains 2 stacks of Abyss Flower, he will consume them to create a zone. When an ally attacks an enemy while the zone is active, they will have their HP restored based on Luocha's attack. The zone lasts for 2 of Luocha's turns. If Luocha is knocked down during combat, the zone will also disappear. As for his technique, using it will cause the zone to activate immediately upon entering combat. Luocha's bonus abilities further his supportive capabilities. His first bonus ability causes his skill to remove 1 debuff from the ally it heals. This applies to both the manual and automatic versions of his skill. His second bonus ability now causes the zone from his talent to heal all teammates. So if a character attacks an enemy, they get healed based on the amount named in the talent, but other party members receive a portion of healing as well. This healing is based on Luocha's attack. And finally, his third bonus ability increases his resistance to crowd control debuffs by 70%. Hold up. You might be wondering, what's a crowd control debuff, or what does crowd control even mean? Time for a mini lesson. Crowd control, also called CC in a lot of games, is a phrase for abilities that affect someone's movement or ability to act. In a game like Genshin Impact, animo characters who can group enemies together have crowd control abilities, since they are, to put it quite literally, controlling the crowd of enemies. In Star Rail, it's a little different since you aren't dashing and moving around. Simply put, an ability that makes a character or enemy unable to act is considered crowd control. So the break effects like freeze, imprisonment, and entanglement are forms of crowd control your characters can inflict on opponents. Enemy abilities like Dominated and Strong Reverberation are also examples. So when I say Luocha has increased resistance to crowd control debuffs, it means he is less likely to be affected by such abilities. Now, what teams does Luocha fit into best? To start simply, any team really. Because of his great sustain and ability to resist being crowd controlled, he's a great fit for any team looking for a solid healer. Plus, his skill being able to remove debuffs from allies is amazing. But if we want to narrow the scope a little and look into teams he really excels in, then we'd consider teams where characters are constantly taking damage or draining their own HP. So think of characters like Blade, Jingliu, Firefly, Jade, Mighty, and probably the upcoming casters would like to have Luocha in their teams. These characters either drain their own HP for damage or they drain their allies' HP. Having someone like Luocha who can consistently heal over a period of time is quite nice in these situations. Not only is Luocha providing healing for the main carry, but also for the rest of the team. The only thing I will mention is that his first Eidolon increases all party members' attack while the zone is active, which makes him less great with HP or defense scalers. However, I don't find this to be a deal breaker, as other attack scalers in the team can benefit from this. So why might you want Luocha? If you have any of the above characters I mentioned, but you don't have an abundance character that you find works great with them, then Luocha is a good choice. Or maybe you just lack abundance characters in general, so adding another to your collection would be beneficial for you. Like I said, Luocha can fit into any team essentially, so owning Blade or Mighty or whoever isn't a requirement if you want him. And hey, if you're like me and you just think he's hot, that's a valid reason as well. My collection of imaginary characters is certainly something. Some might call it a problem, but I call it playing how I like. Anyway, let's move on to discussing Ruan Mei.
My name is Ruan Mei. When saying my name, please don't run the syllables together.
The Genius Society's number 81, Ruan Mei, is an ice character who follows the path of harmony, and I just now realized how much that sounds like the intro they do during the special programs. Anyway, like all members of the women's club, Harmony, Ruan Mei helps buff her allies in various ways. Her skill gives her Overtone for 3 turns. This effect increases all party members' damage and weakness break efficiency. Overtone decreases its duration at the start of Ruan Mei's own turn. Her ultimate creates a zone, which sounds very familiar. This zone lasts for 2 of Ruan Mei's turns, and it has a few different abilities. First of all, allies within the zone have their resistance penetration, or ResPen for short, increased for all elemental types. This just means that, regardless of their elemental type, all teammates deal increased damage. Additionally, teammates' attacks apply Thanatoplum Rebloom on enemies. When enemies affected by Thanatoplum Rebloom try to recover from weakness break, this effect will trigger, dealing damage equal to a percentage of Ruan Mei's ice break damage and extending the duration of their weakness break, so thereby delaying their actions even more. This weakness break extension is based on Ruan Mei's break effect. Ruan Mei's passive talent increases allies' speed, but not her own. Plus, when allies break an enemy's weakness, Ruan Mei will deal additional break damage to that enemy based on her ice break damage. Her technique gives her Silken Strand, which triggers her skill when entering combat. Her technique does a lot more in the simulated universe, but I don't really feel like explaining all of it, so TLDR, it's buffed in this mode. Thank you, and we'll be moving on. Ruan Mei's first bonus ability increases all allies' break effect by 20%. Her second bonus ability causes her to regenerate 5 energy at the start of her turn, which is great for getting her ultimate available once it expires. Her third bonus ability increases her teammates' damage based on her break effect. It works like this. If Ruan Mei's break effect exceeds 120%, every 10% above this point will increase her allies' damage by 6%. This buff can reach a maximum of 36%, or when her break effect hits 180%. It's time for the team section. Which teams does Ruan Mei, or as my phone tries to call her Ryan Mei, work the best in? Her scalings and buffs are centered around breaking opponent weaknesses as fast as possible and attacking them once weakness broken, so teams that like doing this are the best for her. That being said, let me make a clarification that I feel is very important. You want teams that like reducing toughness and attacking weakness broken enemies. Weakness broken enemies. You want teams that like reducing toughness and attacking weakness broken enemies, not teams that only like reducing toughness. There is a difference. Since I finished building Shui not long ago, I can say I understand this difference quite well. Yes, Shui's scalings are based on break effect, but guess what? She just likes breaking weaknesses, not attacking enemies in the weakness-broken state. Meanwhile, characters like Firefly, Boothill, and Rappa rely on breaking enemies' weaknesses and then attacking them while in this state. Therefore, I suggest using Ruan Mei with those 3 previous characters I mentioned, and you can also put her in teams with Fugue, Lingsha, Gallagher, and Harmony Trailblazer. You might want Ruan Mei if you have any of the DPS characters I mentioned earlier, so Firefly, Boothill, and Rappa, but then you have no great supportive characters to assist their damage output. Maybe you never bothered building Harmony Trailblazer, who fulfills a similar role in my opinion, or you're tired of using Asta as your buffer in weakness break-centered teams. This is where Ruan Mei might be the best choice for you. However, if you just think she's pretty or you like the ice element or something, those are also great reasons. Okay, so that's Luocha and Ruan Mei explained. If you were unsure of what these characters did, I hope you have a better understanding of that now, and maybe you've decided who to select. Both of these characters are more supportive, either offering sustain or damage boosts, and they each have the teams they suit best. However, I want to remind everyone to play the game the way you want to. If you want a character simply because you like them, then go for it. I'm not here to tell you who to select, don't take this as a you should select one or the other. I simply wanted to give some advice for players who are unsure and might be happy with either choice. So with that said, I'll end the video here and add wait.